My guest this week is Franco Piscitelli, a wealth management advisor and partner with Barnum Capital Management. Franco helps his clients plan for retirement with asset allocation strategies, specializing in protection planning for families and small businesses. He joins the show to share his professional journey and provide valuable insights in how to find success in this industry. I'm Paul Blanco, and this is Small Steps, Big Wins. Franco, welcome to Small Steps, Big Wins. I'm so excited to have you on the show today, and I can't wait for you to share, where you've started to where you are today and the amazing business you have built. I'm super proud of you, and like I said, I'm excited to have you on the show today.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. I really appreciate you having me on. This is a great honor for me. I listen to all your episodes, and you've had a lot of great advisors and my colleagues and coworkers and partners on before me. So to share a seat with them, it's a big source of pride and honor for me. So thank you very much for having me on.
Well, you got it. So Franco, let's dig right in here. And how did you get started in the business? And give us get us going where you started and how you got to where you are today.
Well, it's a good question, and I'd like to start at the beginning if that's kind of okay. I'm the son of Italian immigrants. My parents had come here to America, from Italy in the 70s. My brothers were all born in Italy, so I was sort of the first American born here. And my mother had a sister who was already here in the U.S., and she kind of convinced my mom to come over, with my brothers to come to America for a better life. And, they were tobacco farmers in Italy, so, very humble background. And so to come here and, to a new country and, not know the language and kind of start from scratch. I learned a lot from that story growing up as a kid. I got to hear all about their struggles in Italy and what they had to come through, and to get to America, and obviously the struggles that they had when they got here. I remember as a young 8, 9, 10-year-old, my mother would sit me down at the kitchen table and basically teach me about a budget and cash flow and how to write checks and the savings account. And she basically had the equivalent of a third grade education, back in Italy, as a young girl, and, came to a whole new country and was able to figure out the financial system and taught that to me at a young age. Just start understand the value of a dollar, saving, conserving, being obviously cautious with tight budget and, a lot of mouths to feed. And, my mother cleaned houses. My father, worked in factories. So, very hard workers. My brothers all worked. And they were in different, businesses, who was an electrician or an accountant and all that. So just kind of learning from all of them growing up as a kid. And I had a lot of influences from them, basically have kind of a little piece of all my brothers and all the different things that they did throughout their lives. And eventually I ended up going to work for my aunt, who had built a deli catering business here in the U.S. in town where I grew up. And I remember as a little kid, I wanted to go work there so bad. It's not like a form of punishment for me. I wanted to work. I wanted to go earn a paycheck. And I really enjoyed, all the fun stuff working in the deli with my aunt. And, she would teach me about business. And I learned about profits and revenues and expenses and how much it costs to, build a dish for a catering job, or, how to work the cash register, or how to make sure the labels on the products on the shelves are all facing the correct way so people could see, what they're buying. So all these little things I learned as a kid, in that deli, I think really was a big foundation for me as I grew up. Wanted to get into business and have my own business. I thought I would go into culinary, whether it was owning a restaurant or a deli. And eventually I ended up working with my brother, who was a chef. And I thought maybe we were going to start a business together and run a restaurant and all that. And eventually, I kind of got disillusioned with maybe the restaurant world. It's a very tough business. So you learn a lot. I learned a lot, obviously, and it's very hard work. And it's a lot of sacrifice and very similar to what we do in our industry. But, it was just different. And I just kind of felt myself being more in a corporate setting and sort of more of a business professional type of setting, and started to go to work for college and taking classes at night after I graduated high school. I went to, just work for a couple of years, in the restaurant business. And then eventually, started going to school, and I was working full time and taking classes full time, going to school and getting my Bachelor of Arts in Economics, and started to go on this path of maybe doing something in finance or business related industry, and actually graduated and came out and said, okay, well, now what? And I was interviewing in different industries and opportunities, and I started finding myself interviewing financial services, and it kind of came all back home where, okay, I like personal finance. I had a good strong foundation with finance and math, and having all that early knowledge from my mother and my aunt as a young kid, and really thought, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to help people with their planning. I want them to help them understand their money, how to make it grow, how to make it last, how to protect it, how to preserve it, how to make it last for future generations, and became what I wanted to do. So eventually, you start to take these aptitude tests for the industry, and to see if it's something that based on how you take that test, if it's something that you're going to be an industry for you. And I didn't really do well on those aptitude tests for whatever reason. It didn't seem like I would be a good match for this industry, and so I became disillusioned with that. I said, oh, maybe this isn't for me, and I thought maybe I'd check out other industries and maybe look around. And thankfully at the time, Jim and my partner and other managers too were very helpful in making me understand the opportunities that was in this industry, and what I could achieve, and not to worry about the aptitude test, not really anything of any significance. And I'm glad they obviously convinced me to stick it out. And so I came to Barnum, and I started my career there. And it was kind of a long journey to get there, but that's how I ended up here.
Well, it's pretty amazing. And as I'm sitting here listening to this, a couple of things are popping in my mind. One is, we tell people to be entrepreneurial when they first start, meaning listen to us, and we have a formula, and if you listen, you'll do that. And you are obviously athletic. You were coachable, and it sounds like from your mom and your aunt, you were coachable listening to them, and you were very intrigued by the business. So number one, you followed the formula. You almost been in the business 20 years now. Next year will be 8th year here at Barnum. So number one, you did that. But what's interesting is you have this entrepreneurial flair about you. And what's really cool about that is we tell people to be entrepreneurial, but then we ask them to then become an entrepreneur. They have to get to the next level as an advisor. You have to know how to run a business and become a business. And you've been able to do that. And it makes a lot of sense with some of the responsibilities you have on your team. Having that background is pretty cool. So let's talk about that. You started to talk about your partner, Jim, who's one of your partners, but let's back up a little bit. How was it from the get-go? How did it, you get in now, you went through this long journey, and did it click right away, or was it really hard? Or how was it when you first got started?
Yeah, I had, it was a slow beginning for sure. So I came into the business and, not really maybe understanding what financial planning was before, other than my basic knowledge of personal finance. And so, there was a little bit of a learning curve there. But I started, around 2005, and I remember walking in for my interview, and I see Matthew Paulson, who's now my current partner. I grew up with Matt in Brantford, where I grew up, or where we grew up, and graduated from high school together, and grew up as kids playing sports, and kind of knew each other, as kids up through high school, and then went to college and kind of, parted ways. And, I was just surprised to see him that he was already here and been here for a couple of years. And so I was asking him about how things were going, and, he just gave me all the, great praise of this industry and of Barnum specifically, and all the great things that were happening. And obviously that helped, to see someone that I knew here already having success, was a big reason why I decided to stay on as well. And so at the time, we were all young advisors just getting started. Jim was, here for a couple of years, but he had many years of industry experience already. And he was sort of building a team, and running the office at the time, and building his practice, and managing young advisors like myself and Matt. And so we started working together almost very quickly, informally, as a team early on. I think Jim was looking for, some young advisors that were hungry, eager to learn. coachable, like you said, and that he can trust and work with. And so early on, we were, doing so much together, with other advisors as well. And so eventually made sense, several years after we formalized as a team, myself, Matt, and Jim.
How long were you guys working together before that actually happened?
It was about 4 or 5 years at least. Yeah.
You guys
Not more.
So you guys were doing a lot of joint work and sort of dating through this process before you actually formalized it. And so I'm thinking that team probably formalized in 2010, 11, around there, maybe 5 years.
Exactly.
And tell me, how was that when you were going through the process and working with Jim and Matt? But were you really focused on, I really want to get on this team, I want to be part of this? And did that help drive you during the process of proving that, you had the skill sets that he would actually say, come partner with me?
Yeah, it was what you're saying, no, for sure. And, because we had already worked together for so many years, it was almost kind of natural. And at that time, actually, there weren't many teams yet. I don't know if we were the first team, but we were one of the first teams at Barnum. And, teaming in the industry just was something new that was starting to take root. And so we were at the forefront of all that. I think it was more, just a natural progression, that we were going to, that we formalized as a team. I knew, working with Jim and, just being an incredible business person and just, all his knowledge and experience and what he was able to offer. And obviously his mentorship, those early years were, incredibly impactful early on for myself. And then, Matt, who I always say is, probably the smartest person I know. And it just made sense for all three of us to work together. We all have our own specialties and traits and characteristics that I think, make our team as great as it is. No, it was all very natural and it worked out very well.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, you went kind of where I was thinking of going next is when you think of mentorship, because I think it's really hard today especially today, 20 years ago is probably less hard, but it's still hard. But today there's so many products and so diverse business that it's really hard, I think, to get started and not have someone mentor or mentors. How did that help you? Because it sounds like you kind of never were really a solo practitioner. You were really getting mentored from day one from Jim and Matt also. So do you think that was a huge benefit for you from a learning curve standpoint?
Yeah, it definitely was. I had great mentorship early on, like I said, with Jim and Matt, for a good amount. And, what they were able to provide me, as I said, just unbelievable amounts of years of experience for me to try to start from scratch and do that on my own and, not have any support. I can't imagine continued on without that support. It obviously helps to have, a great business person like Jim, helping you and guiding you and early on, because you learn so much and there's just so much in this industry. It's impossible to know it all day one. Like you said, I was always very coachable, and I think Jim picked up on that. And, I knew he was someone who was doing very well and smart and had all the knowledge. And I said, well, if there's anybody I'm going to learn from and try to emulate, why not Jim? And that's really where it started from in the beginning. I'm very humble when it comes to these things. I always want to try to learn and grow from someone else, whatever they're doing that works and is doing, is working for them. I want to try to use that however I can. And that's early on really what I try to do with Jim.
Yeah. And you know what I think is really amazing, knowing, having Matt on the show once already and Jim, and knowing your guys' background, I think it's really important for people that are listening here, young advisors and even veteran producers. If you're building a team, you have to have like-minded people. And I think one of the things that really hurts teams is work habits. And I know that, from a work habit standpoint, obviously it took 5 years for you to formalize it, but you get to see the person's value system and integrity through that process. And I think being a hard worker is one that, is important for teaming. So make sure you pay attention to the signs there, and people do that. And for the young advisors that are listening, if you're a solo practitioner, you want to get on a team, think of it as almost building your resume, getting your resume built so that these senior advisors see that and 1+1 will equal 3 if you have the right skill sets with each other. Why don't you fast forward a little bit? So you've been part of Barnum Capital Management now, let's say 15 years. What's the team look like today?
So it's grown quite a bit. Yeah. Because at the time it was just the three of us, and a couple admin supporting us. And now we have, 4 admin, a servicing advisor, and 5, we'll say, junior advisors, 2 a little bit more senior, and, we'll say 3 newer to the business. And that's all in the last couple of years where we've added most of those people. So it's, grown significantly from, just the 3 partners early on. And so, we're continuing to grow our practice. We feel we have capacity to continue to grow, and, we're very focused on client service and improving the service of our clients, that experience for them. And so that's what we obviously strive to do, first and foremost.
Yeah, it's exciting. And when you think of, go back to the beginning, when you think of your mindset, was your mindset just, I got to book as many appointments as I can, and I knew I have people like Jim and Matt to help me with that and give me that. But then I also want to know, how has your mindset shifted today where you are now and in a much more mature practice and mature team? So why don't we start with, how was your mindset in the beginning?
Yeah. So early on, because I was trying to learn as much as I can, I was never afraid to bring on Jim or Matt or another, more senior advisor to learn from. I thought that's where I got a lot of my knowledge, is just seeing other advisors that have been in the business for many years, how they ran, their meetings, how they asked questions, what their follow-up was like. So just all that knowledge and experience, getting that early on. And then obviously, pulling out what worked for me, what made most sense for me, through those experiences. And now, bringing on, more younger advisors and even some more, we'll say, veteran advisors, and trying to manage them and see them get to the next level, right? And having them share and learn, with what we're doing here now. Just an incredible opportunity, with these newer advisors that are coming in compared to, what we had when we first started, as far as like the Transition Solutions Program and Plan Smart, which, we had early on when I was first starting, but it's much different now. It's nowhere near, the level where it is today at Barnum. And so having them, with that opportunity and being a part of that and helping them grow and helping them learn, I think that's really, what we want to see happen, and paying that forward and watching them grow and see their practices grow is truly, fruitful for us.
Yeah, I was just going to say that you're paying it forward. You took the words out of my mouth. Let's talk about Plan Smart a little bit. Plan Smart, for all the listeners out there, is a national program that we have here at Barnum, where we partner with major institutions, and we do a great job of going in there and doing financial education in the workplace for them. When you think of it, I mean, you've been doing that pretty early on in your career, and the shift today, you used to get on the road a lot and have to, drive to all these companies and do these presentations face to face. And, I say it every single show, but, COVID brought so much bad, but there was so much good that came in the business. So now you do Plan Smart pretty much virtual for companies all over the country. How is the change? Well, and how was it from the beginning? And then how's it changed today?
Yeah. So early on, like you said, we were, getting in the car and driving to these venues and, getting in front of a room of, 20 to 50 people, sometimes more, and providing them this education early on. That was one of the things that early on wanted to get involved in, because I did like the idea of being able to educate and teach people about this, right? From my early on childhood, that's, something I has the experience I had with my mother, right? Being able to teach that to other people was something I really thought was, I wanted to do and excel in. So teaching was a great way to meet people and to provide a good value and a great service. And so, we would drive all over to go teach these classes and meet people. And of course, COVID came, and as he said, certainly lots of bad, but some good things did come of it. And it allowed us to be more efficient with our time. And so, we didn't have to travel all over to do these presentations. They're all virtual. But you had to relearn the process, right? It can't be, like it used to be, right? You have to understand how to work a Zoom now, right? How to work a chat room, how to get people's engagement, how to have people turn on their cameras and, interact in these meetings. Very often people just sort of have it on and they're answering emails in the background. So it's different from that perspective, right? When you were face to face with them in a room, it was much different, right? It is a lot more difficult for people to trail off or to doze off when you have their, in the room standing there with them. So there's always that concern, who is really on the call paying attention. So you have to be really good about, again, working the room now, but virtually. So it's a whole new skill set that we had to sort of learn over. And some of us are still improving that and trying to get better.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I have a strategy that, we will do at Barnum, and for all the advisors out there that, doing a lot more virtual than they did. I'm calling it, for lack of a better name, Zoom face-to-face. And, I, as an advisor, even today, as a CEO, when I meet with people on coaching or development or just anyone that I'm working with, I draw a lot on the back of paper, and I would have done that on an easel in a room. And a lot of advisors, I appreciate what you said, Franco, got to Zoom and never changed. They just said, I'm on Zoom. That's it. And people didn't turn their cameras on, didn't do that. And I think it's not going away. Now, will it be 100%? Maybe not, but it's going to be 80 to 95 if people actually take the time to get that skill set that you did it really well. You said 5 things. I'm going to go back and replay it for myself to make sure I write them down. But if they take each one of those steps and make it better, not only do you need to do it for teaching, but you need to do it for your own appointments too. So you save the time, but if you don't get the engagement, then the time is irrelevant to the impact you make on people. So I really appreciate you sharing that and thinking through that whole thing of how you do that. Now, on that, one of the things I've heard about you, Franco, for many years is that you're very strong on getting on, making the call outs to clients and actually booking the meeting. So tell me about that. Like, did you just develop that skill set? Is just repetition, or do you work hard on that? And what is that like in the old days compared to today?
Yeah. So it was a lot of discipline, again, from all those characteristics and traits I learned as a young kid. Yeah, just being disciplined. I think my follow-up is impeccable sometimes to a fault, where, I'm very routine and process driven. I don't get shaken too easily. So yeah, in my early on career, what I was trying to focus on doing was, booking those meetings and bringing in a Jim or a Matt or someone else that I can make sure that the client was going to get a good experience and the correct job was going to be done. And I was learning. And so that's all I was trying to do. As I said, I really checked my ego a long time ago, where I think other advisors early on, maybe they're trying to do too much, and either, they're not learning and they don't have the success they think they or thought they might have, and things don't go their way. So for me, it was about learning. I wasn't really concerned about compensation or how that was all. I figured that would all work itself out. I had more of a long-term vision in mind, and that's really what I can pass on to younger advisors today, right? You need to be patient. You need to be disciplined. You have to have a long-term mentality. Yes, you want success early on. We all do. You need to have success early on as well, but you also need to have that long-term vision. Otherwise, you'll either get discouraged and it just sets you back, and you have a setback or exit the business.
Yeah, and listen, they say that you're overworked and underpaid, and then underworked and overpaid, in this career. And
yep.
You're now approaching a time where you're at the top 1% of the industry, and you've had an amazing journey here. But one thing that I try to teach, and there's a Vince Lombardi saying that I've said many times on this show before, is that they asked him how he wins all these Super Bowls, and he said, well, you make great football players. He said, I make great men. And obviously today in business, my goal is to make great men and women and great people. But, you've went on this journey probably the last 5 or 6 years where not only you've been a great husband and a great dad, but you've really taken your fitness level in terms of you as a person. I remember we used to, people used to give you a hard time about you and not being in the shape you are. And today you're in really great shape. And I want to understand what happened and why you did that, because I think that's super important for people to understand, because people get obsessed with work sometimes and they forget some of the things that were important to them. And I think if you check all those boxes personally, your professional gets better, vice versa. If you do all the professional one, hopefully your personal gets better. So why don't you share kind of what you did? Because I think it's important because that your discipline and drive.
I agree 100%. And no, I appreciate you bringing that up because I think it has a big part of, maybe the success over the last couple of years, but you say it all the time, being a corporate athlete. And I think fitness is a big part of that. Grew up an athlete like yourself. I played soccer, through high school. I'm guessing you were probably a better baseball player than I was a soccer player. I don't know. I was captain my senior year. I was 4-year varsity starter, all that, but never really played beyond. I wasn't really any sort of phenomenal all-star soccer player. I had a lot of drive, desire, hunger. Again, very disciplined, very coachable, right? Even through the sports as well. So it all translated, to all different parts of my life. But so I always kind of had that athletic mentality growing up, and to have a lot of mental toughness and to be active and to all that. So yeah, a couple of years ago, wasn't happy with where things were. I'm involved in my son's soccer. I coached one of his teams, and I really wanted to be more active and practicing with them. And so that was really the drive for me to sort of change my fitness at the time. And now I spend the first hour of the day doing the hardest thing that you'll do all day, right? You hear other people speak about that all the time. And I think that just changes your mindset for the rest of the day. When you've done an hour, whether it's a strength workout or cardio, whatever it might be, you can get that done, get it going, get your mind right, get you set for the rest of the day. I think you just have a much better day. You have much more energy, you're much more focused. You get a lot more done. You think you don't have the time, but you really do. I wake up at 5:30, maybe 5:45, depends if I hit the snooze one button once or twice, but I try to be up by 5:45, and I know you're up earlier, right, Paul? And Kobe was up at 4 a.m. every morning, right? He's usually in the gym before the earliest person gets in the gym. So, even 5:30 is not that early, believe it or not, for a lot of people. So, getting up early, getting that done. I've even been meditating now for the last, year or so. My wife says it's not working, but it takes time. So, I'm willing to continue to try meditating. I think that's very helpful too. I listen to a lot of podcasts like this, a lot of different speakers and, high performing individuals, right? And, sort of these superhumans that do all these incredible things. And, I'm just trying to, again, emulate what they do. They're meditating 10 minutes a day, or if they're working out for an hour in the morning, if, all these, if that's what they're doing, I want to do it too.
I love it. Now, can I just ask one question? I know that, I understand the why, right? You're at the soccer field and you want to be able to, run with the kids and do that. But was it hard in the beginning to get the first day you did it? Was like, what was the mental attitude? Or did you just get up and say, I'm going to do this, and it just worked for you?
It's hard to say because, I definitely started the routine right away, disciplined. And I think my motivation grew throughout, that early process. And so again, being disciplined and being sort of that athlete mentality from early on helped, I guess, right? And, self-motivated, I'm easy, it's easy for me to get started on that. It may not be easy for a lot of people. So you need to find that motivation, and to stay motivated is hard, to continue, eating right and to keep working out and trying to get, literally 1% better in everything that I do is all I'm trying to do every day. And you just need to find that mentality to get back on track. So if you get off track for a day or two, you got to get back on track as quickly as you can and stay on that track as long as you can.
Yeah, I love it. And I feel like it's obviously harder than you're saying for some people. And I appreciate, but that drive and discipline plays, and you see the results in it. So congratulations on that. And I know it's helped you in so many parts of your life. And I agree. Hardest part over. It's really cool. And I don't even, for me, it's kind of interesting. I don't even think about it. It's not even hard anymore. If I don't do it, I'm mad at myself. That's the hardest part. So congratulations on that. So
correct. Yeah, I think if you get to a point where, you're doing all that and, it's a routine, it's a habit, you got to break that habit, obviously, it hurt you mentally. So
yeah, it's great. It's great. So let's talk about that. So you've been in the business 20 years. You're a young guy still, you have great momentum. You're doing better each year than the prior year. You're learning. You've done a lot with education to get all your designations and all that good stuff. But what's next for you and your team? And what do you, when I look out, if I bring you back on the show in 5 years, what are you going to tell me? What are you thinking?
So what we're trying to do, on a day-to-day basis, and I mentioned it earlier, is to improve the client experience, right? We know, based on our service model, our process, that we can continue to grow. We're not worried about clients, not being attended to or not being serviced. We have the systems in place to make sure, that we are reaching out to all of our clients in a timely fashion and that they're getting the service and experience that they all deserve. Our objective here is to, continue to grow our business, continue to help as many people as we can. We do a lot in Plan Smart, so we want to, continue to educate people. And, that's definitely something we're heavily involved in, transition solutions as well, being a part of that. And so that's our main thing, right? How do we continue to improve what our clients are getting from us, right? So whether it's, strategies, tax saving strategies, wealth management, right? That's all, I think, stuff that is important. But, are they being contacted? Are they being serviced? Something I take great pride in, with my clients is that, I'm usually either the second or third person that they call, right? If it's a couple, a married couple, they're usually calling their spouse first, maybe somebody else second, a parent, and maybe I'm the third. I'm usually, and if it's something to do with the other spouse, maybe I'm the first person they call. I don't know. But I want to be in that first, second or, first or second person that my clients are calling when something happens, right? When they need help. I take great pride in that. And so that's a relationship that we do have with our clients. And then just for me, professionally, I have, my CFP, my AIF, quite a few designations, but I want to continue to learn and grow. So I have my eyes set on either some potential business degree or another designation. Got a lot of coaching going on right now, so waiting to get through this, another patch of coaching, and then my son will age out of that, so I'll have time to do some other things. But that is what I see on the horizon.
That's exciting. We have a few minutes left, and I know that you talked earlier in a couple of minutes, but you've hired an advisor on your team that's, as a service advisor that's there to help you and to, philosophically, I guess the thought process is that every client's an A client for someone, and you have someone now on the team that's committed to helping you take some of the clients that you may be not able to give the same service that you'd like to and pass them on, and with a great handoff and still be there for them if you're needed. How's that going, and what's the early, and how is that mindset for you?
Yeah, it's been, so we just hired the servicing advisor about a year ago, and things are going well. We're bringing him on meetings with clients, to be part of those reviews, and that, the clients are meeting this person. So it's not like, just a random person that they get a phone call from. So, he's being introduced early on, to these relationships and able to be there, to assist with any service issues or distributions and, manage that client moving forward. But like you said, having us still there in the background, helping that client. And so again, it just continues to improve the client experience, that they know no matter what, they're going to call our office, they're going to get somebody to answer their question. Because a lot of times people want answers right away to whatever it is that they're calling about. So I think that's been very important. And, there could be possibility where we bring on another, 2 or 3 types of those servicing advisors as our, business continues to grow. So that is definitely a possibility.
Yeah. And listen, I think I go back to what we said earlier. I think your beginnings of your life and being, working with your aunt and learning the entrepreneurial skills and the hard work have really played well for you in your business. So Franco, with that, I just want to say thank you for being on the show today. And you've taken a lot of small steps, but you've won big. And here's the coolest part is, 20 years in almost, and you're really just getting rolling here. And, I know continuing your education, continuing to have the right mentality is going to change the game for you over the next 20. And super proud of you and what you've accomplished. So thank you again for being on the show today. And make sure for all the listeners, small steps, big wins, Apple, Spotify, go on, give us great reviews, write about Franco. And thank you again, Franco, for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Paul. Really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. And it was, again, a great honor for me to be on your show. So I really appreciate you having me.
No, and I think there's a lot of good takeaways that anyone can take from this. So make sure if you were listening while you were driving, make sure you go back and play some scenes, some parts over and get the notes down. So thanks again, Franco, and everybody have a great afternoon.
Thank you for listening to Small Steps, Big Wins. Please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
All opinions expressed by the program participants are solely their current opinions and do not reflect the opinions their respective parent companies or affiliates or the companies with which the program participants are affiliated. Investments or strategies mentioned in this program may not be suitable for you, and you should make your own independent decision regarding them. This material does not take into account your particular investment objectives, financial situation, or needs, and is not intended as recommendations appropriate for you. You should strongly consider seeking advice from your own investment advisor. Securities and investment advisory services offered through qualified registered representatives of MML Investor Services, LLC. Member SIPC, 6 Corporate Drive, Shelton, Connecticut, 06484, telephone number 203-513-6000.